might as well to catch up with a really, really interesting guy. Scott Allen Curley is on the line with us this morning. Scott has a story that is amazing just in and of itself. Unfortunately, we're not here to talk about that story today. Scott, I got to get you back to talk about your life story at some point, okay?
I'd love to. Thanks for having me this morning, by the way.
It is our pleasure to have you with us. We want to talk today specifically about young people in the workplace and some of the issues that they encounter and their reaction to it. Our visit with Scott is presented by Marcus & Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. You can visit them online at marcusandmack.com. So the study comes out, says young workers are ready to quit because of burnout already. And, of course, people of another generation look at that and say, oh, come on, toughen up a little bit, Scott. But do they have a gripe?
Well, yeah, they do, in my opinion. I'm 57 years old, so I was in a totally different generation where you had to work and you had to, when I was on Saturday mornings before I could go play, I had to go cut a couple yards, and that was just our generation. That was the mindset that we had. The younger people now, I think a part of it, we blame and we kind of beat up the young people a lot for this dynamic of them being entitled, lazy, unfocused, not wanting to not having that stick-to-itness. But we also may have to take a look at the parenting and what did we do to contribute to this dynamic. That's a part of it. If you'd like to, we can kind of go down that road also.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about that because they are raised differently than we were raised, just as we were raised differently than our parents were raised. The parenting styles probably have a greater influence than we actually give those styles credit for in shaping us once we get out on our own and into the workforce.
This is true. I was raised in the 70s and graduated high school in the 80s, and before I started going down those dark paths, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But I think when, our generation, the Gen Xers, and we're the parents of these young people, I think we just wanted them to, have it a little easier than us, and we didn't want them to have to go, endure some of the challenges and that we had to endure. But I think, and by doing so, we may have done more giving of fish than teaching to fish, if per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for many of them, they never really learned how to, spit on it and rub some dirt on it and get up and keep going.
Exactly. It's funny you say that because my dad that was his favorite term, rub some dirt on it. And if I fell down and hurt skinned my knee, he said, well, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
They just need, the thing is AI has come into play in technology, and we're in the information age right now. And the young people have a whole lot to do with the advancement of that, which is a good thing. They're highly educated. We have information at our fingertips more than we ever have. But at the same time, younger people tend to lean into technology and lean into AI to do a lot of the work for them these days. I see it almost every day in my businesses.
Yeah. Well, when you get into a work dynamic, you have an older generation working with and assimilating into or the young folks assimilating into that older generation to make one work family wherever your company happens to be and whatever they happen to be doing. And they bring so much technologically that, some of us older folks, we look at them and we say, wow, they're amazing. They're intelligent. They're creative. But there seems to be something lacking in terms of work ethic and things of that nature. And maybe that's just not the way that we should be looking at it.
You just nailed it. I don't think that we are looking at it properly because what you just said is exactly what we are faced with every day at one of my companies. Well, with all of them, but my bread and butter company at Finish Line Tax Solutions. We have our older folks who are there, and they're the ones that get there early, stay late, that really put in the grunt work per se, that not afraid to get their hands dirty per se. But at the same time, that same group, they're the ones that struggle with the technology, the computers and the cutting edge stuff. Now the young people come in and they're whizzes at all of this, but they miss every other day at work. They leave early, and it's like we almost need a hybrid of the two.
Yeah, it is a mindset. We've got the grinded out mentality of the older worker with the young folks that say, here's a better way. We can slip here, a slick little move here, and we're getting the same types of things done. Now I need my time. I need some play time. And that sometimes can be a volatile mix. What it leads to, though, according to this study, is burnout and those young folks leaving the job, trying to find something newer, better, shinier, less taxing upon them, and it leaves their companies in a lurch. And that's the big problem.
It is. And you better be careful what you ask for, because you may get it. And what I mean by that is company innovators and company owners and CEOs are thinking, first of all, we're aware of this fact and that this problem exists. And that all that does is push innovators and CEOs and company owners to look more toward technology to do the work for them. And in other words, if we're going to have these problems out of employees, well, heck, let's just get automation to do it for us, or let's go overseas. And that is happening every single day. It's happening in my own company. It's happening in others. So we just have to be understand that there is a cause and effect here.
All right. So with all of that dynamic working for and against businesses and the workers within those businesses, what are the solutions for us to make young people more comfortable in the workplace and at the same time keep them productive and work with the people who were already there when they walked through the door?
Hold them accountable. No matter what you do, there's going to be attrition. There are going to be certain folks who just don't want to do it that way. And I think we just have to accept and live with that. We have to stay on the cutting edge of technology and stay caught up with the times so that we can remain competitive. But at the same time, we should never compromise our fundamentals, the importance of hard work, the importance of smart work. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, if the young people that just don't see it that way, they may not be a fit for that organization. That's the way I run my companies.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to close our conversation this morning talking about a whole nother topic that is, however, related, and that is you're the author of a book called Absolution: The Dark Path to Light. And Scott has an amazing story to tell, and I want to talk to him in a longer form interview about that in the future. But Scott, tell me about writing this book, Absolution: The Dark Path to Light, and the journey that you took to where you are today.
Well, thanks for asking. I know we're limited on time, so I'll give you the elevator pitch on it. I was raised very dysfunctionally, and not that that's an excuse, it's just a fact. It was very dysfunctional upbringing, and I was adopted and struggled with identity issues, and then, of course, when I went through graduate high school, just went down a very dark path and started doing a lot of drugs and criminal activity. I was petty crime, stealing cars, batteries, and all that, and drugs, a lot of drugs, and ended up putting myself in positions to go back and forth to jail and prison. I went to prison 4 times. Spent a total of about 10 years in prison, and finally, I decided that I'm in it, but I'm no longer choose to be of it. And when I made a decision to no longer think that way. I'm not the type of person that says I'm a different person. I'm the same person I was then. I just think differently now. And so when I made that decision, I decided to no longer be a victim and stop taking the victim stance and just to be accountable and own all of my failures, but also own my successes. And at that point, started little small jobs and started dedicating myself to learning and educating myself, and built businesses, and now I've started this company, Finish Line, with $2,000 while I was homeless, and we're the 4th largest in the country now, and and generated about $50 million in revenue from a $2,000 initial investment in 2016. And I don't say that to boast them. I say it to share with other folks. The reason I wrote the book was to share that I'm just a normal guy. I'm not Superman. And if I can do that, anyone can. It's just a matter of changing your mindset.
Well, there you go. And that is the short form of it. But I do hope we get the opportunity to speak about it more. At some point, everybody has to put away that mentality of victimhood and move on, because that's the only way to move forward.
That's true. We've all been victimized, but we choose to be a victim. It's just important to understand the distinction between the two.
Great way to put that. Absolution, The Dark Path to Light by Scott Allen Curley, boys and girls. You can pick that up. Scott, let's do this again sometime, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being with us. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.